There are certain works of art that do not merely entertain us. They settle deep inside the heart. They carve permanent marks into the quiet corners of childhood. And even years later, long after we believe we have moved on, they wait patiently, until one day, without warning, they return. Today, we return to one of those stories. A tale of honor, exile, time, and loss. If you are ready for deep emotions, relentless action, and a journey that spans centuries, then we must go back. Back to the beginning. Back to Samurai Jack. Evil, in this universe, does not suddenly appear. It is not born from a single mistake, nor from a single corrupted soul. Evil is ancient. It predates kingdoms, civilizations, and even time itself. In the very first moments of existence, when everything was nothing, when form had not yet separated from emptiness, darkness was already there. Not as an accident but as a fact. In the world of Samurai Jack, this primordial darkness takes shape as a demon named Aku. A being capable of bending time itself. A creature whose touch corrupts, decays, and erases meaning wherever it reaches. Aku does not simply destroy. He enjoys destruction. He is deeply in love with his own power. With the sound of worlds breaking. With watching beauty collapse beneath his shadow. He creates chaos not out of necessity, but because he can. Because it amuses him. Because, to Aku, annihilation is a form of humor. And when his jokes echo across the world, humanity pays the price. Years of suffering begin. Entire civilizations crumble. Hope becomes fragile, easily crushed beneath his laughter. Yet where darkness exists, light must also rise. Without balance, existence itself would collapse. Good and evil are not isolated concepts. They define one another. Light has no meaning without shadow. Good cannot be understood without evil standing in opposition. This is the ancient philosophy of balance, symbolized by yin and yang. Opposites locked in eternal tension, where conflict gives birth to meaning. On the side of light, the first figure to stand against Aku emerges. An emperor. He is not merely a ruler of people. He is the embodiment of order itself. Where Aku spreads chaos, the emperor represents stability. Where darkness seeks domination, he exists to resist. It is his duty to prevent the natural world from collapsing into disorder. To stop chaos from becoming the permanent state of reality. When war becomes inevitable, he does not hesitate. Armed with a magical sword forged by the gods, a blade created from righteousness, truth, and purity, the emperor confronts Aku directly. The clash is devastating. Steel meets shadow, light tears through darkness. Aku is wounded, scarred, driven back. At last, the demon is defeated. Bound beneath the earth, imprisoned, at least for a time. Humanity breathes again, cities rebuild, life continues, but nothing is truly the same. Because once true evil has been witnessed, it can never be forgotten. Fear settles into the collective soul of the world. A quiet understanding lingers. If darkness rose once, it can rise again. And it does. When Aku finally breaks free, he returns not weakened, but enraged. The emperor once more raises his sword, fulfilling his duty to the end. This time, it is not enough. Aku's vengeance is absolute. Everything the emperor stands for is torn apart. Order collapses. Hope shatters. And in the ashes of defeat, humanity is left with a single, fragile hope. The emperor's son, a child destined to walk the same path. A child upon whose shoulders the future of the world will one day rest. The hope placed upon this child cannot be fully explained with words. Because his journey is not ordinary. It is not limited to one land, one culture, or one philosophy. Knowing that Aku would one day return, the emperor and the empress did not waste time pretending the danger was gone. They prepared. When the emperor fell, that preparation became reality. The empress took her son and the magical sword and fled across the world. Not to hide, but to prepare him. This child would not be raised within palace walls. He would be shaped by the world itself. From the east, he learned patience, discipline, and honor. The art of living with restraint. The understanding that strength without control is meaningless. From Africa, he learned resilience and raw power. How to endure hardship. how to stand firm when the world tries to break you. From the West, he learned logic and strategy. To think clearly, to cut not only with the sword, but with the mind. He trained with master archers, learned battle tactics from seasoned warriors, sailed with Vikings, fought alongside soldiers, studied under monks and philosophers. He experienced what would take 100 lifetimes, compressed into a single youth. Every culture, every civilization shaped him for the same purpose. The world itself was raising its last hope. The boy grew into a warrior, a samurai, and when the time came, he did not hesitate. Mounted on a white horse, carrying the sword of righteousness, he rode toward his destiny. Toward Aku. There is an important detail here, one that defines everything that follows. Aku never took him seriously. To the demon, the idea that a young samurai could pose a threat was laughable. In his arrogance, he mocked him, dismissed him as a fool, an insignificant obstacle. Aku's pride blinded him, so much so that he failed to recognize the sword, the very blade that had defeated him before. The battle was swift, too swift. Aku realized the danger only at the final moment, when the blade was already descending toward him. For the second time in his existence, Aku tasted defeat. But he would not allow history to repeat itself. With desperation and cunning, he chose a different path. Before the final blow could land, Aku tore open a portal in time itself and cast the samurai into the future. A future completely under his control. In a single moment, everything was taken. The mission, the promise, the past, and the samurai fell into a world where Aku had already won. When the samurai opens his eyes, he does not land in a battlefield. There is no immediate clash of swords. No heroic confrontation. Instead, he wakes up inside a nightmare that has already settled into routine. Time has moved forward without him. Centuries have passed, and during those centuries, Aku has ruled unchallenged. This future is not chaotic in the way a sudden disaster is chaotic. It is far more disturbing than that. Because it is organized, Aku's evil has become the system itself. Cities rise, but they are hollow. Technology advances, but it does not serve humanity. It watches it, controls it, consumes it. The world is alive, yet soulless. In this future, people still exist, but only because Aku allows them to. Not out of mercy, but out of boredom. Humanity has become entertainment. From Aku's perspective, people are clowns, puppets, toys in an endless arena. Their suffering amuses him. Their fear feeds him. Their desperation sustains his reign. Instead of wiping out life completely, Aku chooses something crueler. He lets people live, just barely. What emerges is a distorted form of society. A slave civilization disguised as freedom. Justice no longer exists. Not truly. Cities resemble endless purge nights. Crime is not an exception, it is the norm. Extortion, violence, exploitation, these are daily realities. Those who serve Aku gain power. And with that power, they torment the innocent without consequence. No one intervenes. No one asks questions. No one stands up and says, "This is wrong." People have learned to look away. To survive by silence. To mistake obedience for safety. Over time, this corruption becomes familiar. Evil becomes routine, and routine becomes normal. This is the most terrifying victory of all, not domination through force, but domination through acceptance. As human values erode, machines rise to take their place. Aku's robotic enforcers patrol the world, programmed for cruelty and obedience. They do not question orders. They do not hesitate. They do not feel. Technology, once humanity's greatest tool, now stands as its replacement. Humans are no longer the dominant force on Earth. They are tolerated guests in a world that no longer belongs to them. Bit by bit, humanity retreats, from power, from relevance, from meaning. And this future feels disturbingly familiar. Because it does not feel like fantasy. It feels like a projection. A warning. The story is not merely showing us a fictional dystopia. It is holding up a mirror. A world where technology advances faster than ethics. Where injustice is normalized. Where silence is rewarded. Where people are too tired, too distracted, or too afraid to resist. This is the core philosophy of Samurai Jack. The idea of an honorable, truthful, principled human being, someone shaped by patience, discipline, and moral clarity, being thrown into a future that does not value those traits at all. Jack is not just lost in time, he is lost in meaning. And this is why the creators never gave him a real name. He is not meant to be a specific person. He is meant to be anyone. He could be you. He could be me. When the people of the future casually call him Jack, he does not correct them. Not because he agrees, but because, at this point, his name no longer matters. Identity has become secondary to survival. Jack becomes a wanderer, a time refugee. He does not build a home. He does not settle. He does not belong. He walks endlessly. Because the moment he stops, the moment he rests, the future wins. The moment he adapts completely, he becomes trapped forever. So he keeps moving, until his feet bleed, until hunger overwhelms him, until exhaustion threatens to break him. He walks because movement is resistance. And deep inside, despite everything, one thought keeps him alive. This world is wrong, and somewhere, somehow, it must be undone. Jack's journey through the future is not defined by victories. It is defined by endurance. Day after day, year after year, he continues forward without a destination he can reach. There is no home waiting for him. No familiar voice calling his name. Only the distant hope of returning to a past that grows further away with every step. He does not rest because rest invites acceptance. And acceptance, in this world, is another word for defeat. Jack is not running from danger. He is running from adaptation. The future tries relentlessly to reshape him, to assimilate him, to turn him into another product of AKU's world. But Jack resists. Visually, he stands apart. Among neon lights, flying machines, and mechanical soldiers, he remains unchanged. His white robes, straw hat, and simple sword mark him as a relic of another era. He looks almost absurd in this world. And that is precisely the point. Jack is a walking contradiction. A reminder that the past once valued honor over efficiency. That restraint once mattered more than power. Yet this resistance comes at a cost. Time, strangely, does not age his body. But it erodes his spirit. Each failed attempt to find a time portal leaves another invisible wound. Each moment of hope crushed by AKU's interference deepens the scar. Aku never misses these moments. From afar, he watches, observes, waits. Whenever Jack comes close to success, whenever a portal appears, whenever escape feels possible, Aku intervenes. Not immediately, not violently, he waits until the very last second, just long enough for Jack to believe. And then, with cruel precision, he snatches the possibility away. This is not a physical war. It is psychological. Aku wants Jack to struggle, to suffer, to almost win, because hope, when shattered repeatedly, becomes a weapon against the soul. Aku understands something fundamental about humanity. No one can fight forever. Eventually, exhaustion sets in. Doubt creeps in. The question arises, what if this is pointless? And slowly, almost imperceptibly, Jack begins to change. The first sign is anger. The calm discipline of the samurai starts to crack. He reacts instead of reflecting. Strikes with frustration rather than clarity. This is new, and dangerous. Inside his mind, a second voice begins to grow louder. A cruel, bitter echo of himself. It whispers failure, mocks hope, feeds on disappointment. Philosophy calls it the destructive inner self. Religion calls it temptation. Psychology calls it a fractured identity. Whatever the name, its effect is the same. Jack begins to lose himself. And with that loss comes something even more devastating. The magical sword, the symbol of righteousness, truth, and purpose, abandons him. The blade no longer recognizes him as worthy. This moment is not about losing a weapon. It is about losing direction. Without the sword, Jack is no longer the embodiment of moral clarity. He is just another survivor in AKU's world. The final sign of his defeat is subtle, but profound. For centuries, Jack refused to adapt, refused to belong, refused to become part of the future. But now, he does. He trades his traditional clothing for armor, his sword for advanced weapons, his quiet walking for roaring engines. He rides motorcycles, uses futuristic technology, looks like someone who belongs here. And Aku laughs. Because there is no greater victory than turning your enemy into something meaningless. No greater cruelty than stripping a hero of what made him different. Jack is still alive, but the samurai, the symbol, the idea, is fading. And somewhere deep within him, he knows it. He has not been defeated in battle. He has been defeated in spirit. There is a moment in every long struggle when the question is no longer how to win, but why continue. For Jack, that moment arrives quietly. Not with a dramatic defeat. Not with a final blow. But with exhaustion. Years of fighting an immortal enemy begin to weigh on him. Centuries of failure carve deep lines into his resolve. The idea that Aku might be unstoppable no longer feels like fear, it feels like logic. Jack has survived longer than anyone should. And yet, survival alone is no longer enough. Inside his mind, the fractured voice grows stronger. It no longer whispers. It argues. It confronts him. It asks the questions Jack has avoided for centuries. What if the future cannot be changed? What if the past is truly lost? What if all this suffering has no meaning? This inner figure takes shape, an echo of Jack himself, but distorted. Cruel, mocking, unforgiving. It wears his face, speaks with his voice, but carries none of his compassion. This is the embodiment of despair, the part of the mind that turns pain inward and uses it as a weapon. In literature, this phenomenon appears again and again. Dostoevsky described it as a splitting of the self, a sense of standing beside one's own shadow, terrified of what it wants to do. Jack is living that fracture. His actions become impulsive, violence replaces restraint, honor fades beneath frustration. For the first time, Jack is not fighting to protect others. He is fighting to silence the pain inside himself. And the universe responds accordingly. Without purpose, strength becomes hollow. Without clarity, power loses its direction. This is why the sword does not return. The magical blade was never about skill. It was about alignment, between action and intention, between strength and righteousness. Jack, in his current state, no longer embodies that balance. The future, sensing his weakness, presses in closer. Everywhere he turns, AKU's influence is present. Mocking screens, laughing voices, reminders of failure. And slowly, Jack begins to accept something he once would have rejected completely. Maybe this is how it ends. Not with victory, not with redemption, but with quiet resignation. He stops searching for portals. Stops believing that escape is possible. Stops imagining a world beyond this one. This acceptance is the true defeat. Because defeat is not falling in battle. It is choosing not to stand up again. Jack has not been killed. He has been emptied. And in this hollow state, the future finally claims him. Or so it seems. Just when Jack's story seems to be sinking into irreversible darkness, the narrative shifts. Not toward victory, not toward battle, but toward something far more unexpected. From the heart of evil itself, a contradiction is born. Aku, the embodiment of chaos and cruelty, has a devoted follower. A woman whose loyalty borders on obsession. She does not merely worship Aku, she wishes to carry his legacy forward. From this twisted devotion, 7 daughters are born. They are not raised as children. They are raised as weapons. From the moment they can walk, they are subjected to relentless training. Pain is normalized, mercy is punished, compassion is treated as weakness. Their mother does not offer warmth. She offers discipline, not love, but control. The goal is singular and absolute: create assassins capable of killing Samurai Jack. 6 of the daughters accept this path without question. They absorb their mother's cruelty and reflect it back into the world. Their identities dissolve into obedience. But one of them is different. Ashi. From the beginning, she does not belong. While her sisters focus on hatred, Ashi looks outward. Toward the sky, toward animals, toward the quiet beauty of the natural world. She listens to the wind. She watches insects move through grass. She sees life not as something to be dominated, but as something to be protected. This difference isolates her. She is criticized, corrected, hardened through punishment, yet her heart does not change. Realizing brute force will not be enough, Ashi's mother turns to something more dangerous than violence. Manipulation. She tells Ashi that everything beautiful in the world, the forests, the animals, the harmony of nature, exists because of Aku. That Aku is the creator, the protector. And then comes the final lie. Samurai Jack, she says, is not a hero. He is a destroyer, a savage who seeks to erase this beautiful world. Truth is inverted. Good and evil are exchanged. This manipulation works because Ashi's sense of justice is sincere. She wants to protect what she loves. And now she believes Jack is the enemy. When the 7 sisters are finally sent to hunt him down, Ashi is the most determined among them. Not because she is cruel, but because she believes she is right. When Jack encounters them, the battle is brutal. One by one, the sisters fall. All except Ashi. Jack has countless opportunities to kill her. Yet he never does. Instead, he protects her, from other threats, from her own recklessness, even from death itself. Jack senses something familiar in her. Something untouched. A purity that does not belong in AKU's world. He cannot explain it, but he refuses to extinguish it. And this refusal marks the beginning of everything changing. The sun rises over a battlefield littered with shadow and steel. Ashi stands among her fallen sisters, her hands stained, her heart pounding. For the first time, she feels something unfamiliar, hesitation. Her mother's voice echoes in her mind, sharp and commanding. Finish the mission. Kill him. Obey. But another voice emerges, quiet, persistent, and insistent. A voice she does not recognize at first. Why? Why are they killing? Why is this man, Samurai Jack, so different from what she was told? Why does he show mercy instead of cruelty? Questions are dangerous. Questions are forbidden, but they will not be silenced. Ashi follows Jack after the battle. Not to attack, not to kill. To watch. She observes his movements, his choices, his life. She sees him help a trapped animal. She sees him rescue innocents from destruction. She sees his silent struggles, his solitude, and his unwavering dedication to goodness. Doubt begins to take root. Confusion clouds her training. The certainty she once had about the world begins to crumble. Ashi's mother senses the shift. Fear turns to fury. He cannot change you, she shouts. You belong to Aku. You are my daughter. But Ashi does not reply. She only watches Jack from a distance. Every act of kindness, every refusal to kill unnecessarily, fractures the lies she has lived by. For the first time, Ashi realizes that the person she was taught to hate may not be the enemy. That the world may not be as black and white as she was told. And with that realization comes a dangerous thought. Could she be wrong? The seed of doubt grows. Not overnight, not without struggle. It grows quietly, like a shadow stretching across the floor of a dark room. Unseen at first, but inevitable. Ashi cannot act on it yet. The world she knows would collapse if she did. Her mother would punish her. Her sisters, if alive, would betray her. Yet the seed is planted. And once planted, there is no turning back. Jack, unaware of the turmoil within Ashi, continues his journey. But the presence of this young warrior, trained to kill him yet restrained by her conscience, becomes a silent tether, linking their fates in ways neither can predict. Ashi walks through a quiet forest, the echoes of battle still ringing in her ears. The trees sway in the wind, indifferent to her inner turmoil. Her mind spins with questions she dares not speak aloud. Who am I if not my mother's daughter? Who am I if AKU's shadow no longer defines me? Memories of training flood back, pain, discipline, fear, but they now feel hollow, mechanical. Each lesson in obedience clashes with the images of Jack's mercy. She recalls the faces of the people Jack saved, faces she never saw in AKU's court. They are real, vulnerable, alive, and Ashi begins to see herself in them, not as a weapon, but as someone capable of choice. Her mother's warnings come like thunder. Doubt is weakness. Kill him now, or be destroyed. But Ashi hesitates. The sword in her hand feels heavier than ever, burdened by indecision. She remembers the first time she saw Jack. The calm in his eyes, the patience in his movements, the refusal to strike without reason. A strange warmth rises inside her. It's unfamiliar, dangerous, hope. She knows what she must do, yet fear roots her to the ground. If she defies her mother, the consequences will be swift and cruel. If she does not, the lie within her will grow, consuming her from the inside. The forest clears, revealing a small village ravaged by a recent raid. Ashi freezes at the sight of children hiding among rubble. Her instincts scream to obey her training. This is not your concern. Kill Jack and follow orders. But another voice, softer but stronger, whispers, "You can choose differently." Ashi's hand trembles on the hilt of her sword. The seed of doubt has grown roots deep enough to demand action. And for the first time in her life, she wonders, what if everything I've been told is a lie? The answer does not come quickly. But Ashi feels it in her bones. Something must change. The path ahead is unclear. But she senses that following Jack, not fighting him, may be the first step toward truth. For now, she hides in the shadows, watching, learning, questioning. The warrior who was once certain, unstoppable, begins a journey inward. And the world outside, vast and cruel, waits patiently for her next move. Jack senses a shift in the air. Something is different about Ashi. He does not lower his guard, he never does, but he notices hesitation in her movements, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. In the clearing, he kneels beside a small, injured fox caught in a trap. The creature whimpers in pain. Jack gently releases it, checking its leg. Ashi watches from the shadows. Her mother's voice screams in her mind, urging her to strike while Jack is distracted. Yet as she sees Jack's hands working carefully, not violently, something stirs within her. A memory surfaces. A time when she helped a bird with a broken wing, under her mother's strict watch. Her mother had scolded her for wasting time, but she had felt pride, real, human pride. Jack lifts the fox, sets it free, and it scurries into the forest. He does not notice Ashi. She takes a deep breath. The steel of her sword feels different now, less like authority, more like a question she must answer herself. "Why do you hesitate?" Jack finally asks, his voice calm but firm. Ashi jumps, surprised he noticed. She begins, then stops. Words fail her. For the first time, she does not have an answer she can use as a weapon. Jack rises slowly, maintaining a safe distance. "Doubt is not weakness," he says quietly. "Fear is not failure. What matters is what you do with them." Ashi's grip tightens on the sword, but she does not strike. Instead, she steps out of the shadows. Jack blinks, wary but not hostile. "You're free to leave," he says. "But if you want to follow your own path, you can." Her heart races. Freedom tastes strange, almost dangerous, almost intoxicating. Ashi lowers her sword, a small, trembling gesture of surrender. Jack nods slightly, understanding the courage it took. The first barrier between them fades. Not trust, yet, but the possibility of it. A distant scream echoes through the forest. A reminder. Danger is never far. Jack glances at Ashi. "We need to move. Together." Ashi hesitates, then follows. Every step she takes feels like both a promise and a challenge, an unspoken question. Can I choose what is right, even if it defies everything I was taught? For now, they are allies, tentative and fragile. But even fragile bonds can bend the course of fate. The forest grows darker as they move. Even the birds seem silent, as if watching. Jack notices it first. Footprints in the dirt. Not human, or at least not just human. They are large, clawed, uneven. Ashi stops, her instincts screaming. "Something's coming," she whispers. Jack nods. He scans the trees, moving slowly, deliberately. His hands rest on his weapons, ready. A low growl reverberates through the underbrush. From the shadows, shapes emerge, creatures neither fully beast nor fully human. Eyes glinting, teeth bared, claws scraping the ground. Jack steps forward, placing himself between Ashi and the creatures. "Stay behind me," he commands. Ashi obeys, though her heart pounds. She studies the creatures, noting their movements, slower than expected, almost coordinated. "They are hunting, together," she mutters. Her mind races. Could these be the servants of her mother's power? Or something older, wilder? The lead creature steps forward, growling low. Jack's eyes narrow. He recognizes the pattern. This is a test. Not an attack, a challenge. He shifts stance, readying a small, concealed device in his hand. A subtle click, a flash of light. The creature recoils, hissing, but does not retreat. Ashi watches, tense. Then she remembers something, an old technique her mother taught her, one she despised, one she never thought she'd use. Breathing deeply, she raises her sword, moving fluidly, silently. In one swift motion, she disarms the nearest creature, not killing, just redirecting it, breaking its momentum. Jack glances at her, impressed but cautious. Good, he murmurs. You're learning quickly. The creatures hesitate, confused by this unexpected cooperation. Jack and Ashi exchange a brief look, no words, just understanding. They fight together, a silent, wordless rhythm forming between them. One creature after another falters, eventually retreating into the darkness. When the last shadow disappears, the forest is eerily quiet. Jack exhales slowly. You did well, he says. Ashi lowers her sword, exhausted but exhilarated. She looks at him, something unspoken in her gaze. For the first time, she feels capable of acting without fear or obedience dictating her. Jack glances at the shadows where the creatures vanished. They'll be back, he warns. But next time, they won't hesitate. We must be ready. Ashi nods. She understands now. Survival is not about strength alone. It is about timing, observation, and trust. Together, they continue deeper into the forest, the bond between them growing stronger with each step. The danger ahead is unknown, but they face it side by side, fragile alliance becoming something more resilient. The forest begins to thin, revealing a clearing bathed in pale sunlight. At its center stands a structure half buried in vines and moss, a temple of ancient design, with symbols carved deep into its stone walls. Ashi approaches cautiously, her fingers brushing the carvings. They're protective wards, she murmurs. Old magic, very old. Powerful. Jack examines the entrance, noting the patterns of decay. This place hasn't been used in centuries, he says. But someone, or something, wants us to find it. They step inside. The air is cool and musty, filled with the scent of damp stone and something faintly metallic. The dim light reveals murals depicting battles between humans and creatures long forgotten. Ashi traces her fingers along one of the murals, her eyes widening. Look, they're warning us, she whispers. The creatures in the forest, they weren't always wild. They were once guardians, bound by oath. Now they're corrupted. Jack studies the wall carefully. The key to stopping them might be here, he says. He pulls out a small notebook, sketching symbols and comparing them to Ashi's observations. A sudden sound, a soft scraping, like stone grinding against stone, echoes through the temple. They freeze. From the shadows steps an old figure, cloaked and hooded, eyes bright beneath the hood, observing them intently. Finally, the figure says in a voice that is both melodic and commanding. You've come far, but not far enough. The trial isn't over. Ashi steps forward. Who are you? She demands, sword half raised. The figure chuckles softly. Names are traps, they say. What matters is your resolve. If you fail here, the forest will consume you. Jack narrows his eyes, sensing both wisdom and danger. We've survived this far. We can handle whatever comes next, he replies. The figure raises a hand, and the temple floor shifts. A hidden staircase spirals downward, disappearing into darkness. This path leads to the heart, the figure warns. The heart of the corruption, and the truth you seek. Ashi glances at Jack, then back at the staircase. I'm ready, she says firmly. Jack nods, gripping his weapons tighter. Together, they descend, leaving the sunlight behind. The deeper they go, the heavier the air becomes, charged with energy both ancient and dangerous. Shadows flicker along the walls, whispering in languages long forgotten. Ashi shivers, but she keeps moving forward, feeling the pull of something both ominous and necessary. Finally, they reach a cavernous chamber, vast beyond measure. At its center, a pulsating crystal hovers above a pedestal, radiating a light that is at once beautiful and terrifying. The source? Jack breathes. This is what's been corrupting the Guardians, twisting them into what we saw outside. Ashi steps closer, her sword drawn but lowered. The answer lies in the crystal, she says softly. Before either of them can act, the cloaked figure appears at the chamber's entrance. You must choose, they say. Do you destroy it, or do you learn to control it? Either path will change you forever. Ashi and Jack exchange a long, heavy look. They both understand that the next choice will decide not only their fate, but the fate of the forest, and perhaps more. The chamber hums with energy. The crystal pulses rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, casting flickering shadows across the walls. Ashi steps closer, studying its surface. Inside, she sees swirling darkness, but also glimpses of light, fragments of what the forest once was. The corruption, it's not total, she murmurs. There's still a chance to save them. Jack examines the pedestal, cautious but determined. We can't destroy it recklessly, he says. If we try, it could destabilize everything. The cloaked figure watches silently, their presence heavy and patient. You have always been guided here, they say. But guidance is not the same as choice. Only you decide. Ashi closes her eyes, reaching out, not with her hands, but with her mind. She feels the crystal's energy, chaotic and immense, lashing at her thoughts. Memories of the forest flood in. Creatures once noble and pure, villages that thrived, laughter that echoed in the trees. Jack steps beside her, lending his focus, anchoring them both. Together, they extend their will toward the crystal. For a long moment, nothing seems to happen. Then the chamber vibrates, a low roar growing from the walls themselves. The crystal fractures, but instead of shattering violently, threads of light spiral outward, connecting to the murals, the walls, and the forest beyond. Ashi gasps. It's healing itself, she whispers. The guardians, they're coming back. Outside the temple, the corrupted creatures halt, their aggression fading. A calm spreads through the forest, as if it has exhaled after holding its breath for centuries. The cloaked figure steps forward, lowering their hood. Now their face is revealed, wise, ageless, and bearing an expression both stern and gentle. You chose well, they say. Power without understanding destroys. You've learned balance, and with it, hope returns. Jack and Ashi exchange a weary smile. The weight of their journey begins to lift, replaced by quiet relief. They step out of the temple, greeted by sunlight and the restored song of the forest. Ashi looks at Jack. We did it, she says softly. Jack nods, watching the trees sway, alive and vibrant once more. And yet, he adds, I can't help but feel this is only the beginning. Ashi laughs, a sound full of warmth and relief. Yes, she agrees. But for now, the forest is safe. Above them, the sky brightens, casting golden light over the trees. The hidden sanctuary, once forgotten, now stands as a symbol. A reminder that courage, wisdom, and unity can restore even what seemed lost forever. And as they walk forward, leaving the temple behind, the forest whispers a silent promise. It will remember those who saved it, and that brings us to the end of our adventure. Glowing Star. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Reality Beyond. For more stories, mysterious discoveries, and surprising content, make sure to turn on notifications too. Bell. With your support, we can journey into even more magical worlds. Now take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let your imagination soar. With Reality Beyond, every discovery takes you one step further.